Welcome to StarCast Remarks. My name is Ryan, and I am the host of StarCast Remarks. This is the after-game review for game number 57. The Stars lose tonight by a final score of 7-4 to the New York Rangers, and it looked kind of rough here tonight. We're going to get into all the highlights and stuff here tonight, but first, we got to let you know, thank you to DraftKings for sponsoring us and the whole Hockey Podcast Network. Go use the promo code THPN the next time you go and use their app for a special little offer from them. And go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section down below, and we may pull your comment up here on the live stream or during the podcast. So let us know what you think of tonight's episode, and both of us definitely have a lot of thoughts on this tonight, don't we, Chris?
Yes, absolutely. It pretty much sucked overall, so...
And unfortunately, we have some bad news and some good news to get into before we even talk about this game. So let's just start with the bad news and the fact that Miro is out indefinitely. That's not a good thing with mononucleosis. Apparently, he's been kissing the wrong people or something. So apparently, we'll see how long it takes for him to get back into the lineup. But that kind of explains a lot of his play as of recent.
I don't think so. I mean, he got sick and he stopped playing. They said he was going to be back in the lineup today. And then they found out he had mono because he wasn't getting better. So I think he got sick and then they found out. I don't think it was an ongoing thing. But anyway, this was like the first indefinite list on something that I actually agree with, because with mono, you really have no clue. Like, he could be back in a couple weeks. He could be back in a year. Like, we really just don't know.
And considering he's been our best defenseman for the past 3 seasons, that's a huge, huge miss to not have on your blue line if you're the Dallas Stars.
But what it does to your cap space is it frees up $8 million. So now Nil has no reason to do nothing. The one thing that we said why we might stand pat is that we have no cap space. We got cap space now. We got plenty of it. So we're either buying or selling now. Period. End of story. Can't be sitting pat when we have $8-9 million of cap space available.
And what that also does is it kind of nixes all of the Klingberg trade rumors at this point, right? I mean, you would have to be an absolute idiot. Still, I still think that that's a stupid thing to do with Miro out. I mean, you're at least contending for a playoff spot. And if you do sell, if you do trade John Klingberg at this point, you're basically telling not just your team, but the entire fan base that, okay, I don't think this team is good enough to make the playoffs.
Well, we have already said that. That was already known. We were going to do that. So if we're selling, then if we trade John Klingberg, we're selling all the way. And that was true from the start of this year even. So that's not really a new thing with the Heiskanen thing. I think that's still the same.
With this extra cap space, what do you think the Stars should do if they go out and get somebody or some buddies?
Somebody who can score. Preferably a defenseman, obviously, but probably not going to happen. But just somebody that can score.
I was going to bring this up tonight because he's been in a lot of trade rumors as of late over the past couple of weeks, but Jacob Chychrun of the Arizona Coyotes apparently is being dangled out there as trade bait, but the ransom to get him is apparently really large and huge. But he got hurt tonight, apparently. So I don't know if that's, 100% going to keep him out for weeks or whatever. But if you're the Stars, is that somebody that you would go out and get? I mean, if you're willing to part with, some of our top prospects who we've talked about on this show, like a Wyatt Johnson, a Maverick Bork, Logan Stankoven. I really hope we keep him because I really like him. But is trading those guys, some of our first-round picks, a good idea to go out and get a Jacob Chychrun? Because there was a lot of talk around Stars Twitter, Stars social media when Miro was announced that he was going to be out for a while.
Yeah. I don't know. That's where the tough call comes in, is in trading those prospects, because we have some of the best prospects that our franchise has ever had. I mean, all 3 of those guys that you mentioned could be top 6 forwards very easily in the next 3 years. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. If you can get something for just picks and low end prospects, you absolutely do it. But no one's going to take that when they know what we have in our back pocket and in other leagues. So it's going to be tough.
Well, the question is would you do that? So let's say that the ask was
Ryan, I'm trying to dodge the question.
I'm not letting you dodge the question. Yes or no? Okay, here's the trade. Jacob Chikrin coming to Dallas, going the other way, first round pick, Maverick Pork, and Wyatt Johnson.
I'm going to say no because I don't think the team we have right now is good enough to win a Stanley Cup. So I'll say no. It's just not worth it. It hurts our chances in the future. So I'm going to say no.
Okay, that's a good question.
What about you?
I wouldn't do it.
it.
No, I wouldn't do it. Same reason. I mean, for the same reason you said, because I don't think this team is good enough to contend for a Stanley Cup. And, they're just extremely inconsistent. Some days they look like a top 6 team, and then other times they look like a middle of the pack to below average team. So,
which we'll get into tonight. But before we do that, let's go ahead and move on to the next set of news.
Right. One more thing. And I don't think you liked this idea, but I threw out, why don't you go out and get Zdeno Chara as like a third pairing guy? What do you think? That would just be cool, right? Just to have Zdeno Chara on your blue line.
It would definitely be cool. Would it be smart? No, it would be stupid.
Even if you give up a 6th or 7th round pick? I think that's all that it would take.
Why? Why?
Because you need somebody else in the blue line. And if you think that this team is good enough
really.
to make
we
the
have
playoffs.
Harley and Hanley and Sekera's coming back soon. So we don't really need anybody.
I guess that's true, but I just think it would be cool. Anyways, so jumping into the other bit of news that the Stars made over the last 3 days is the fact that is some good news. Joe Pavelski is staying in Dallas at least for another year. He actually took a pay cut in order to stay in Dallas. So he has a 5.5 cap hit next season, which for those of you that don't know, he has a $7 million cap hit right now. However, some of that cap hit is also included with bonuses. So he has $500,000 in bonuses if he plays more than 50 games. So every 10 games that he plays next year, he earns an extra $100,000. And for those of you that don't know how signing bonuses work towards the cap, because it does work towards the cap, the $5.5 million will 100% be on the cap next season. If Joe Pavelski plays all 50 games, like he says in his contract, that $500,000 is applied to the year after. So that's just the way that it works with the cap with the NHL. But Chris, what do you think of the deal? Good, bad?
It's great for us. I just don't know what Joe's doing. I mean, he could go make $7 million just the same somewhere else. Especially with a 1-year deal, he could make $8 million, honestly. So I'm thrilled for us, but I have no idea why he did it.
And he's a perfect companion to those 2 young guys. And I mean, that line has been one of the best lines in the NHL this season.
And I had talked about not signing him again next year if we're truly selling and everything. But for 5.5 for 1 year, yeah, you take that every single time.
It's a good deal, especially for the Stars. And I think it's a good deal for Joe Pavelski too, because I know you're saying that he could have gotten $8 million or something like that, but I think more people are going to look at his age and the fact that he's playing with 2 young guys who are really scoring, and that would be a detriment to him. But I think it's good both ways for the Stars and Pavelski. And hopefully we're looking at the end of the season and thinking, okay, this was a great idea to do to keep us in contention for the Stanley Cup playoffs. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Yep, we will see. Okay, anyways, after those 2 bits of news, let's go ahead and get into this game tonight. Original thoughts coming out of tonight's game, Christian?
I thought we were going to show up and kind of dominate after our bad last game, but that definitely didn't happen.
I have a couple of thoughts in tonight's game. My biggest one is I felt the Stars tried to play the Rangers brand of hockey. And that's not the way that the Stars win games. They were going very north and south kind of game. And I mean, there was a lot of transition hockey, a lot of odd man rushes both ways. And that's not how the Stars win, unfortunately. And they tried to play that brand of hockey, especially early on in the first period. That first period was absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like that this season from, either the Stars or any opponent that the Stars have played this season. But anyways, let's go ahead and just get into the goal summary for tonight. I did take some notes. I got hacked off So in the third period, I didn't really take much notes, but I can still talk about it. Right off the bat, Esa Lindell gets his 4th of the year from Joel Hanley, and it's a backhand shot that I think Igor Shesterkin would probably want back if he had another chance at that. What do you think?
Yep. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I guess he wasn't actually ready and needed some more warm-ups, but it went in. It was a good shot. I mean, he got it over his shoulder pretty much bar down, but like it was barely moving. Like just stick your head at it. And yeah, I don't know.
I think it was a very fortunate goal for Esa Lindell.
Yes.
Very fortunate goal.
It's a good way to put it.
There was a bad turnover by Harley, and then Ottinger to the rescue. He made a couple of big saves tonight, although overall it was mixed bag, especially that 6th goal. We'll get into that here in a second.
No.
But sorry, go ahead.
Hold on. I gotta stop you on that one. Mixed bag is wrong. Ottinger was bad. He played bad. He didn't make a big save when we needed it, especially during that 3 goals in 2 minute section. Or was it 4 goals in 2 minutes? I don't even remember. The lots of goals really fast part. Y'all remember that part, right? He didn't help us very much there, I don't think. You can't point at one specific goal and say that's his fault on that section, but he wasn't helpful. And the final 2 goals of the game are asinine. Those are terrible.
Hey, that's my word.
The wraparound by Nemeth never goes in, ever. Nemeth was trending on Twitter because he finally scored. He was 14th overall on national Twitter trends because he never scores.
His 2nd goal of the year, too.
His 10th of his career. That doesn't go in, ever. And obviously, the last goal is awful. No way on earth that ever goes in. It's terrible. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. Both of them are just like, I don't even know, like, just not paying attention? Because the first one's just sitting on his pad and he just doesn't notice it. The next one just goes straight through him. So, I don't know. It was an awful game. It wasn't a mixed bag. Ottinger was bad.
He had some saves, though. How about that? Is that fair to say?
I'll give him 5 good saves, but none of them were game-changing saves. Like, if they went in, I would have been like, So, no.
And we should also get into this and the fact that who was Ottinger's backup tonight was Adam Scheel of the Texas Stars, because Braden Holtby has a lower body injury. And then also everyone's like, wait, where's Dubby? Dubby is the next. He's hurt too. So all of a sudden, our goaltending depth, which looked really deep at the beginning of the season, is now non-existent. And now we have to rely on Jake Ottinger to basically be a behemoth in the net for the Dallas Stars over the course of the next month.
Yeah, I think Scheel was on the Idaho Steelheads like just 2 years ago. So that's an ECHL team. So he's probably not NHL ready. So there's no chance on earth he was getting in tonight.
I honestly thought we might see him tonight. I honestly did, because
there was
the
not
4 goals in 2 minutes.
There was not one moment when Bones thought, maybe I should put him in. No.
Maybe not against the Rangers. If it was the Arizona Coyotes, maybe.
Even then, no way.
Anyways, a couple of minutes later, Sagan would get a deflection from Akiva Ronta shot to make it 2-0 Stars, and it looked really good at the beginning in the first 5 minutes for the Dallas Stars. And then literally after that, everything kind of went downhill. I should mention that Sagan is 1 away from getting his 300th goal of his career, so hopefully he gets that. And I even put this on my notes, is that the Rangers defense is like Swiss cheese right now. And I mean, we were getting through it and we were putting some pressure on, and yeah, it was 2-0. And then the barrage comes. First goal comes from something McKegg. I don't even know his first name, never heard of him. And that's his 2nd goal of the year from Miller and Gauthier. And it's just a tip shot that happens to get past Ottinger. It's 2-1 Dallas, and that's about halfway through the first period. Couple minutes later, Stars would take a penalty. I forget who it was.
Hence.
And dude, that hurt, that looked like it real hurt.
Yeah.
It was basically spearing. I wouldn't call it hooking. But anyways, Mika Zibanejad would get his 23rd of the year from Ryan Strome and Panarin. That was a power play goal. So the Stars continue to have a mixed bag on the penalty kill after doing really well. And then Adam Fox, 2 minutes later, would get his 8th of the year from Jacob Trouba and Artemi Panarin. 3-2 New York Rangers, literally 10 minutes later. And then Artemi Panarin was like, oh, cool, this little goal thing looks kind of like fun. And he pots one himself, his 16th of the year from Miller and Hunt. And that would be 4-2 Rangers going into the second intermission. What was your thoughts with that 4-goal barrage from the New York Rangers?
My jaw was just on the floor. I mean, Ben and Sagan look like pylons out there. They're just literally skating circles around every single player on our team. So much for our checking line. Great there. So much for Ben and Sagan being such good two-way forwards. Terrible there. I mean, I don't know what was going on. It was terrible. It is the worst defensive performance from the Stars in a very long time. That's such a short segment. So,
and this goes back to what I felt like was the biggest observation for me tonight, and that was the fact that the Stars looked like they were trying to out-Rangers the Rangers. That's how the Rangers play. They get odd man rushes. They do the transition game, and that's not how the Stars play. They looked uncomfortable in that first period because of the way that the game was going and the way that the Rangers were playing. Stars are not comfortable with that way, and they fed right into the Rangers' forecheck with that. Kiviranta would have a chance late in the first period, but that was about it. In the last 15 minutes of the first period, it was basically all Rangers, no Dallas. So it was, you can even say that the Stars played a good half period in the first period. It was really just the first 5 minutes and a lucky shot from Essa.
Pretty much was it.
Second period, Fox would take a tripping penalty early. The Stars would kill it off barely, but Zibanejad looked like he would have a huge chance, but he whiffed on it. Lindgren would get a penalty, and the Stars would go on the power play. It was time to get one back, but they wouldn't get it back just quite yet. But the Stars would get a 5-on-3 power play for about 26 seconds because of a tripping penalty by Brodzinski. Excuse me, I said that wrong. At 12:49 in the second period, Robo would get a goal, and that would be from Klingberg and Hintz to make it 4-3 Rangers instead of 4-2, and that is the first 30-goal season for a Dallas Stars player since Tyler Seguin in 2018-2019. So what did you think of the goal by Robo? Do you think that should have been a good goal, or do you think that should have been called back?
It's not a goal, but the way that they're calling this deflection rule so far this year, yeah, I guess it's a goal because you're allowed to literally soccer kick the puck into the net now. And this is a part of the officiating thing that I've been talking about all year long. Goodness. And that's just that the rules are not the rules right now. Like, the officiating is not consistent. The rules aren't the rules. They're not calling the rule book. They're calling what they interpret the rule book to be. Like, we don't need them to be judges and interpret what should be. We know what should be. They're supposed to be enforcing it. So, and it's just wrong.
Since you went ahead up and brought it, I'm going to bring this up too, because I need to go back and look at it again. But right before the 6-4 goal by Barclay Goodrow, apparently a lot of Stars fans were upset at the fact that Harley did not draw a call. Do you remember that play at all?
Oh, yeah, that was totally a hook.
So you totally think that should have been called?
Yes, he had two hands. He moved his hand up the shaft of his stick to get leverage, grabbed onto him, and then pulled him down to the ice. But again, it's the last 5 minutes of the game, so the refs don't call anything. And it's a big guy on a small guy. Not going to call anything.
And I know that probably should have been called, but at the same time, Otter should have had that save. There's no excuse for that one to go through if you're Jake Ottinger. That should not go in. Yeah. But anyway, the Stars would get that goal from Robo 4-3, and it was at the last second in that first penalty. So they would stay on the power play, and there was a lot of good work on that power play by the Stars, but the Rangers were able to kill off that second penalty there. And in the second, I don't know how you felt about the play overall, but did you feel they were playing better overall in the second period compared to the first?
They were playing much better. I mean, and you can see that on the shot counter too. We have way more shots than the Rangers did in that second period. I thought we pretty much dominated that period, and we had way more scoring chances, and we should have scored more. And we leave the period, as you're about to tell us, we leave it tied. We didn't gain anything that period because of poor goaltending.
And what Chris is talking about is a goal by Patrick Nemeth, which we already mentioned, his second of the year from Panarin and Hunt. And it was a wraparound shot, and that's a goal that should never go in. And
it was a wraparound that was saved, and then Otter just left it on his pad.
And some people are arguing that the whistle should have come sooner, but if the puck was loose, then the puck was loose.
The puck wasn't under his pad; it was on his pad. And it's not like Nemeth jammed it through. It flipped over Otter's pad. It's a goal. I mean, he just left the puck there. You don't get a whistle if the puck isn't covered. Just you have a giant paw. Just It's not that hard.
And especially after that second period, I know that we were still down a goal, but I felt very optimistic going into the second intermission because of the way the Stars were playing. And I was thinking, okay, we're down by a goal, but we outplayed the Rangers. The first period, we didn't play our game. We were trying to play their game. The second period, we were mostly playing their game. And then that goal was completely deflating. Completely 100%.
So demoralizing. Deflating. I mean, you play a great period. You're one goal away. It seems like it's no doubt that we're going to get it that we're going to get the last goal in the third to tie it up.
And we did. We got the fourth goal. We
did. Yeah, we got it too. And they have the one scoring chance, and they score on it. And it's barely even a scoring chance. I mean, it's just a mistake. It's just a flat-out mistake by Otter. It's just bad.
Before that, I want to point out that Klingberg had several opportunities to shoot tonight as well. And this happened at like the 7:20 mark of the second period. And he just was consistently missing the net. And that seems to be a stat line that I would be really interested to get into if I can really do the research on it. Maybe we can tell James to get on it. But like how many shots the Stars have missed when they've had a prime opportunity? Because Klingberg had at least 2 or 3 tonight where he had prime opportunities. Only one hit the net, and the other 2, he just completely he shot wide.
Yeah, you wonder why he's not scoring.
Don't know. And unfortunately for him, this is the worst time to not be scoring if you're wanting an 8-year deal for $8 million. Anyways, going into the second intermission, I'm not feeling super optimistic about this, but it's still a 2-goal game. We've seen the Stars pull out victories and comebacks before like this. Maybe not necessarily from 2 goals, but still felt a little optimistic because of the way that the Stars played. And I was thinking that the Stars could overcome, Otter's really, really bad gaffe there at the end of the second. But through the third period, the Stars were doing okay, but the period was going by really fast. And I just didn't think they were doing as well as they were in the second period, which I totally understand because they were down. They were only down by 1, and then that goal happened and was completely demoralizing. But Mr. 1-year extension, Joe Pavelski, would get his 23rd of the year from Hintz and Klingberg, and that made it 5-4 Rangers. And it allowed the Stars to get some energy in the building, and the building was starting to become raucous again. And I mean, there was a big hit by Ben. There was a lot of good play in front of Shesterkin when we were getting opportunities. And I don't know, how did you feel like that first half of that period? I felt great. Okay about it.
I felt great about it. I mean, we had scoring chances all over the place. Pretty much kept the Rangers pinned in their own zone the whole time. I think they had 1 shot in those first 10 minutes of the game, and we had like at least 7. So yeah, we were destroying them, and then it just stopped.
And the stop you're talking about is the Goudreau goal that we were talking about. Should never go through it. I mean, Razor put it best when it was basically like a wet bar of soap went through Jake Ottinger's legs, and that would make it 6-4 Rangers. And that's 2 really demoralizing, breathtaking, not in the good way, goals that Ottinger should have had. And
Yep.
that pretty much ended the game for the Stars at that point.
This goal would not even be listed as a scoring chance by anybody on Earth if it's saved. It's just a routine save.
It should be a routine save.
And I mean, that kills it. I mean, even at that point, I was like, yeah, the Stars are going to score, no doubt. And that just destroys all momentum we had. Even after giving up another huge gaff goal in the second period. So he gives up 2, and that's the game. I mean, really, like we have 2 really bad minutes where they score 3 goals. We overcome it fully, play so much better, and our goalie can't even do like the minimum that he has to do for us to win the game. So we talk a lot about him being the reason we win hockey games, and even if he saves the Nemeth goal and the Barclay Goodrow goal, he's still not the reason we win because he didn't stop any of the ones in the first period, and he's the reason we lose tonight. Honestly, he is. He's the number one reason. We should never score 4 goals and lose the hockey game. It shouldn't happen.
And we should point this out as well, that Igor Shesterkin, if he doesn't win the Vezina this season, it's unbelievable. And maybe even the Hart Trophy with the way that he's been playing. Tonight was an off game for Igor Shesterkin. I mean, I think I can't remember. I think it was Razor who said he had allowed 1 goal in 6 of his last 9 starts. So, like, just 1 goal. All the Rangers had to do was score 2 in the last 6 of their 9 games in order to win the game.
And that's pretty much what they've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
Scoring 2, and that's it.
And they had some amazing stats with the fact that, like, the Rangers had the most wins when they're outshot. They had 24 wins when they were outshot. And that was about 5 more than the team that was second place in that chart I don't even remember who was second. Doesn't matter. But, man, that's a game I really wanted to win. This one just really hurts because you felt like the Stars could come back and win this game. And, you know, normally the thing that we can rely on, which is goaltending, we weren't able to rely on tonight.
Yeah. Pretty severe blow up.
And let me ask you this question too, because this does not make me feel very good or very happy about the next couple of weeks. If Adam Scheel is the backup and both Holtby and Hudobin are, you know, out, they're going to be out for a while. Let's just say that they're out for a while.
They've already said Holtby's the short term, though.
Still, but my thing is, without having Holtby or Hudobin as the backup, does that really shatter Ottinger's confidence? Because this is the one game I can. Anyway. I know, but the thing is when you've got somebody like that who's behind you and watching you and can help you in between, you know, during TV timeouts. I know it doesn't seem like much, but Ottinger relies a lot on Braden Holtby and Anton Hudobin and even Ben Bishop.
I don't think that's true. I mean, the games earlier this season, he had 2 games where he was pulled from the net back-to-back, and Holtby was there both times and then played great. And, I mean, that didn't stop it then, so why would it stop it now, him being on the bench? I mean, it just gives you an out. You still sucked. I mean, if he was pulled after the first 4 goals, he still sucked and he didn't help us win. So, I mean.
Well, it makes me wonder if if the pressure got to Ottinger tonight where he was like, oh, crap. I don't have Braden or Anton, and this guy named Adam Scheel is behind me, and now all the pressure is on me. I wonder if
going 1v1 against Marc-Andre Fleury and getting a shootout and getting a shutout and then getting a shootout win wasn't enough pressure to break him, then no. Going up against the Rangers, who are in a different conference, is not going to shake his confidence. So, no, that's just wrong.
And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just asking a question.
Dumb question.
Some people were asking that question on Twitter.
Those are dumb people.
Earlier. So, anyways, let's get into some stats for tonight. Face-off percentage for the Stars, 63-37 in favor of the Stars. Power play, 1 for 2 for both teams tonight. Hits, it wasn't an overly, physical game. It was 23-19 in favor of the Stars. And then the shots on goal per period tonight, it was 14-11 in favor of the Rangers in the first. In the second, it was 13-8 in favor of the Stars. In the third, it was 9-7 in favor of the Stars. Stars outshoot the Rangers tonight, 33-29, and the Rangers get their 25th win when getting outshot. But unlike most games, Shesterkin was not the reason why the Rangers got the win tonight.
Yep.
So any specific thing that we should kind of point out else in tonight's game?
Ardell had a good point about Guryanov being non-existent, especially the last couple of games, which I defended him a while ago. But this game, he has zeros across the board. He has 1 hit. He has 1 takeaway, which those are terrible stats. And 15 minutes of ice time. He did nothing. He was not noticeable. I couldn't even tell you if he was there tonight. So he was pretty terrible. And then we can move along even to Glendening. Glendening, zeros across the board, a -2, 6 hits. At least he's good on the face-off dot, and then 14 minutes of ice time. I mean, that's not helping us either. Same with Foxa, 2 minutes. Same with Ben, not 2 minutes. Foxa -2. That's our checking line. They're supposed to be good on the defense. -2. Jamie Benn, supposed to be great two-way player. -2. Raffle, -1. Like, I mean, these are the guys that are supposed to be our solid backbone. Like, no. It's just not true. Those bottom 6 guys are not good, and they haven't been good for us all season. And when they are good, we've been a great team. That's when we went on that great run playing so well against Colorado, Minnesota, Nashville, and stuff. But they're just not playing well consistently. And I mean, if the guys who are the most replaceable aren't playing well, then what does that say to the young guys who are trying to make a spot?
And you didn't even say the most egregious one tonight, Chris. It was -3 for John Klingberg.
No.
Who, when we really need him to be our best defenseman, he wasn't our best defenseman tonight.
And that's why That's why he's not getting the most time on ice, and it's Suter, because he's a better defensive defenseman than Klingberg is, which is not good for somebody who's expecting to get paid $8 million a year.
And I know that he made it onto the score sheet tonight, but still, with the fact that Klingberg has not been able to step up with Miro being out, and Miro's going to be out for a while now. Who do you look to? Harley?
Yep, Harley. Come on, buddy.
A 21-year-old. I don't even think he's 21. I think he's 20. And You're going to rely on a 20-year-old to go and do that. And I should mention that tonight with him. There were a lot of good plays that he made tonight, but there were also a lot of bad plays that he made tonight. And I know he was really trying to get the offensive game going for the Stars tonight, but it was a little too much. And one of the few things that Otter did well tonight was at the beginning of that first period, Harley had that really bad turnover, and Otter bailed Harley out. But
speaking of Otter, let's get to the most egregious stat of the game.
Go ahead.
Save percentage for Jay Gottinger, 786. I don't think I've seen a 7 in a while. That's pretty dang bad.
That's really bad. Let's look at the time on ice. That might be a little interesting to take a look at.
Jake Ottinger, time on ice, 58 minutes. There you go. You're welcome.
Jacob Peterson, only 5 minutes. Kiviranta, 6.5. Michael Raffle.
Why is Jacob Peterson 13 on the ice instead of Riley Tufte when Peterson somehow allowed a goal in those 5 minutes he was on the ice too?
I don't know. And I mean, Harley's they actually gave a lot of ice time to the bottom third pairing today. I mean, normally you don't see this, but Thomas Harley had 17 minutes and 45 seconds, and Joel Hanley had 16 minutes and 43 seconds. So he didn't rely as much on the top 4 tonight. And we even talked about this, Chris. It's like with Miro Heiskanen being out, you can't rely on your top 4 as much as you did the 3 previous games. So, I mean, those guys didn't play 26, 27 minutes tonight, but we lost the game. So is that what we have to do? Goals. Is that what we have to do? Basically just ride the top 4 defensemen and just ask them to play 26, 27 minutes a night?
If you're trying to make it in the playoffs, yeah, I guess. But, I mean, obviously that's not going to work long term, so.
It's not. Which is what makes me think this team needs to go out and get another defenseman if you're really thinking this is going to be a playoff year. And I'm not necessarily saying like a Jacob Chikrin. I should point that out. But somebody else, because this D-core, assuming that Miro's out for the next month, is not good enough. And I don't think that the saving grace is Andre Sekera. I'm sorry. As much as I love Andre Sekera, he's not going to be the saving grace of this blue line. He's not. He's been out for a while now. And he's not the offensive, really steady defenseman that Miro Heiskanen is. So I just don't know what the answer is for the Stars team. I mean, what do you think, Chris? Do you think we should still go out and get somebody?
I think if we're gonna lose, we better lose hard, and then we better sell before trade deadline,
which is coming up here, right? When is the trade deadline, Chris?
It's a good question, Ryan. Soon. I think it's next week, actually.
Trade deadline, NHL trade deadline, Monday, March 21st. So
I'm a genius.
9 days? 9 days until that. So,
and we could be out of the playoff spot tonight, I think. Are we?
We are currently still in the playoff spot, but last I looked, the Edmonton Oilers, who are just underneath us, were winning 1-0 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it is currently still 1-0 in the second period with Edmonton over the Lightning. So we'll see how that goes. But
gotta love that.
Yep. I think that's it. Anything else, Chris?
Nope. I don't want to talk about this game anymore.
I know. We kind of beat it to death tonight. Anyways, guys, thank you all for the comments over here in the chat below tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and commenting along. We appreciate all of that. Please make sure you go follow all of our social media accounts. We have just about anything and everything: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go on and follow all that sort of stuff. Thank you once again to DraftKings Sportsbook for sponsoring us and being our sponsor, not just for us, but also the entire Hockey Podcast Network. So thank you guys for tuning in once again. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. We hope you guys have a good, fantastic evening, morning, afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. Have a good night.